Will everybody please stand and uncover? Everybody please stand and uncover. Remain standing, please, while we post the flags. Post the flags, right hand salute or hand over heart. We will now have the national anthem by Kim Jeremiah and Stacy Petta.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Two. It's 1 o'clock now, or invocation? Invocation now? Okay. At this time, I would like you to remain standing. I would like Chaplain, U.S. Navy Captain Retired Monsignor John J. Bevins to please come forward and give us the invocation.
Let us pray. Father, we gather this evening in your presence to honor the men and women of our city who more than self their country loved. We thank you for the service that they gave to our country and ask that you continue to bless them and their families. We pray also for all those men and women who are on duty right now defending our country, and we ask you to bless their families as well. We ask you, Father, too, to guide our nation's leaders in the way of peace. Help them to work with other leaders of other nations to bring about a lasting, justing peace. May our legislators always enact just laws that provide, protect the lives of all, both the born and the unborn. And may they bring about that all men and women may may be honorably employed. And we ask you now to bless the food we're about to receive and all those who prepare it and serve it. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Monsignor. At this time, we'd like to call on Sam Beeman to welcome you here to this dinner this evening. We are very, very happy that he was able to get here tonight. So we're going to turn the mic over to Sam.
He's got it. Sit down, please be seated.
Yeah, please be seated. I didn't want to have you stand the whole night. That was screw up number one. There'll be more.
You don't give up even a microphone.
Okay.
Gold Star Mother's next.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give me a moment.
Please keep the noise down so you can hear Sam, please.
All the way in the back, please listen.
Sam is speaking,
I have a
please.
few things to say that I have to get off my chest. First of all, I want to welcome each and every one of you to our annual Support Our Troops dinner. The funds that we collect, we don't keep. We give it away. We give it to those needy veterans and service organizations that need the money. I have had a couple of rough months. Actually, I've had a rough week. I've been sitting in St. Mary's Hospital since 6 o'clock this morning waiting to be discharged. I didn't get discharged until 4:45. I have a great crew around me that put me together, that makes me look the way I do. But I'll tell you right now, I have never felt more home, more love, more respect than when I come into a room with my fellow veterans and those individuals that respect our troops. The ones that raised their right hand and swore an oath and allegiance to protect and defend the Constitution of this country, a country that we all love and adore. And like I said, I have been told a couple of good things, been told a couple of rough things, and I've been told a couple of bad things. All what I know is I love each and every one of you. I'm at more peace right now than I could ever be. Just looking around the room and seeing some faces that maybe I might see only once or twice a year. But like I said, I love and respect each one of you because of your feelings toward our service people. There's one person here, and I know he's here somewhere, and I have to do it now, and it's a little out of order, but I would like for John Rossi to please stand. Wherever you are, John Rossi, please stand and come to the front table. Please come to the front table. People don't know this. In September 1961, I went to Caner Tech. I went to Caner Tech. This man here was my English teacher. I went to Caner Tech. Now I'm supposed to be an automobile mechanic. I'm not supposed to be an author. He became the director of Caner Tech. And I'm so proud of you. And what I want to do, I want to present you with a copy of my book, signed, "Thank you for your knowledge, your leadership, and wisdom." You have no idea, you have no idea of the respect that I have for you.
Mutual.
No, I stand on your shoulders because you are an example for me. Thank you, my brother. And I appreciate it. It's a little out of that's all right. That one's signed. I signed it.
All right, beautiful.
That's for you.
Oh, that's
And you got more,
wonderful.
you
I
got
appreciate
some
that.
more awards coming. But I had to be here for this to present you with that.
My son David.
It's my honor. sit through this. Jimmy White. Listen, Jimmy White. You're special. I am just one of the graduates from Keener Tech, and one of the things I get the honor of going is to talk to the class. Now, they'll go talk to them tomorrow. I won't be there. But the thing is, I have the honor of going back to my high school and talking to the senior class each year. This year, I'm not going to be there. I'll be in rehab. They're going to work my butt off. I know what's going to happen. But it's been an honor knowing you. I will talk to you later, John. Thank you so much. Thank you, gentlemen. Out with the program.
Okay. That's Joan.
Just say thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Sam, for those kind words, and we wish you nothing but good health. At this time, I would ask Mr. Joseph Nolan, a Vietnam veteran, to please come forward and present the Gold Star Mother's wreath with Mary Kite, our Gold Star Mother.
And he's a Gold Star parent.
And Joe is also a Gold Star parent who lost a son in Iraq.
Where's the wreath? Where's the wreath? Yeah. Let's cut the bell ringing out.
Okay.
Cut the bell ringing out.
Okay, you want to stand by the POW?
Yep.
Okay. Before we begin our activities today, let us pause a moment to remember and let us prepare by filling a glass for a toast later in the ceremony. So if you do have, if you don't have, you don't have. Okay, there's no water. If there is water on your table, if you put a little in a glass, it would be great. As you arrived, you may have noticed a small table in front. We call this to your attention and occupies a place of dignity and honor. Its purpose is to symbolize the fact that members of our armed forces are missing from our ranks. They are referred to as POWs and MIAs, but we call them brothers and sisters, and this table is reserved to honor them. Those who have served and those currently serving in uniform services of the United States are ever mindful that the sweetness of enduring peace has always been tainted by the bitterness of personal sacrifice. We are compelled to never forget that while we enjoy our daily pleasures, there are others who have endured and may still be enduring the agonies of pain, deprivation, and internment. This ceremony symbolizes that they are still with us in spirit. They are unable to be with loved ones and families tonight, so we join together to pay our tribute to them and bear witness to their continued absence. All Americans should never forget the brave men and women who answered our nation's call to serve. Please take notice that the table is round to show our everlasting concern for our comrades still missing and small and set for one, symbolizing the frailty of one prisoner alone against his or her suppressors. Remember them. The tablecloth is white, symbolic of the purity, their intentions to respond to their country's call to arms. Remember them. The single rose in the vase signifies the blood that many have shed in sacrifice to ensure the freedom of our beloved United States of America, while their loved ones and friends keep the faith, awaiting answers. Remember them. The vase is tied with a red ribbon, symbolic of our continued and unyielding demand for a proper accounting of our missing comrades who are not with us. Remember them. The slice of lemon on the plate is to remind us of the bitter fate of those captured and missing in foreign lands. Remember them. A pinch of salt symbolizes the countless fallen tears endured by those missing and their families who seek answers. Remember them. The Bible represents the strength gained through faith to sustain those lost from our country, founded as one nation under God. Remember them. The glass is inverted to symbolize their inability to share this day's toast. Remember them. The candle is lit. It is reminiscent of the light of hope which lives in our hearts to illuminate their way home, away from their captors, to the open arms of a grateful nation. Remember them. The chair is empty. They are missing. Remember them. Please stand. Anyone who does have any liquid, let us now raise a toast to honor America's POWs and MIAs, and to the success of our efforts to account for them. Let us never forget their sacrifices. May God forever watch over them, protecting them and their families. You are not forgotten. Hear, hear. Thank you. Okay, you're going to forget the bills and taps?
Forget the bills,
Okay,
taps.
two taps. Want me to have them stand? Please stand one more time, hand over heart, right hand salute.
Yes,
Please be seated.
Dinner is served.
You want to mention this now before the
Okay.
Just mention it that they're on their tables and anybody who has never received a Waterbury medal, please fill out the form. There'll be people going around and collecting them during the course of the evening.
One announcement I'd like to make. On your table, you will find a small form. If you have never received the City of Waterbury medal, please fill one out, and then we will collect them later. If you're a veteran, if you've never received the City of Waterbury medal, please fill one out, and we'll be around to collect one later. And at the conclusion of the evening, the City of Waterbury medals will be issued to all veterans in the room tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Enjoy your
Dinner will be served.
Okay. Can I have your attention, please, for 1 minute? Our guest speaker will be coming up shortly, Colonel Rick St. John. And I would please ask if you would respectfully, I know you want to socialize, you're all here to have a great time, and I am too, but we want to be able to hear the guest speaker, and sometimes there's so much noise going on in the room that nobody gets to really hear what he has to say. And this gentleman you want to listen to, because what he has to tell you is very important for everybody to hear. So please, keep the noise down a little bit, not stop talking, but just don't talk too loud, please. Thank you very much. At this time, I would like to call up the Honorable Mayor Neil O'Leary, who will present Colonel Rick St. John to the audience. Thank you. Mayor, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I have the honor and the pleasure of introducing Colonel St. John, but before I do, I just want to take a moment to recognize all the veterans who are here with us this evening, and a big shout out from the City of Waterbury, thanking you and your families for your service to our country so that each of us gets to enjoy the quality of life that we do, and our good friends tonight and recognizing our 4 mayor for the day individuals this morning. And then, of course, recognizing and thanking Lieutenant Sam Beeman, the chairman of the Waterbury Veterans Memorial Committee, for making it here this evening. Sam was the boss of mine in the Waterbury Police Department, and I don't know if you noticed, but when he came in the wheelchair with his brother Reggie, Captain Charles Harris was pushing the wheelchair, and he was a former boss of mine as well. And I'm sure they have a few stories to tell, and hopefully they won't. To Monsignor Bevins and Father Anello, Chief Justice Sullivan, Judge Upson, and to all the elected officials here tonight, thank you for being here to recognize the people who are most important in our lives. Tonight I have the honor of introducing a Waterbury native, Colonel Rick St. John. I'm sure you recognize the name St. John, very well known in the city of Waterbury, a tremendous family who has always been committed to this great city. But retired Colonel Rick St. John, a storyteller, a poet, and historian. Colonel St. John has authored a wide range of creative works, from lighthearted children's stories to poetry of the Vietnam War. In his latest book, titled Tiger Bravo's War, he returns to Vietnam to chronicle the exploits of a company of young paratroopers in the 101st Airborne Division during some of the war's heaviest fighting, a story he knows only so well, as he was one of those young paratroopers, with 2 successful careers behind him, retiring as a U.S. Army colonel in 1993, and then as a group executive of Global Financial Transactions Processing Company in 2012. Colonel St. John is now working on his bucket list, which is teaching and writing. Colonel was born and raised in Waterbury and graduated from West Point in 1966. In his 26-year career in the Army, he would command infantry units from company to regimental size and retire as a Chief of Staff of the U.S. Army Pacific and the 25th Infantry Division. He also earned a Master's of Science degree in Industrial Engineering from the University of Arizona. And in 2018, he was honored as a distinguished member of the regiment of the 506 Infantry Regiment from Fort Campbell, Kentucky. His awards and decorations from service in the Vietnam War include the Silver Star, the Bronze Star with V for Valor, the Army Commendation Medal with V for Valor, the Vietnamese Cross of Gallantry with Silver Star, 2 Air Medals, the Purple Heart, and Combat Infantry Badge. His other decorations include a Legion of Merit with 2 Meritorious Service Medals. He and his wife Susan live in the woods by a small lake in South Georgia. I love that. Tonight we recognize Colonel St. John and welcome him to come to the podium to speak with us. And I present to him the City of Waterbury Distinguished Citizen Award to Colonel Rick St. John, Waterbury's own and one of our finest and bravest, Colonel St. John. God bless you. Thank you. I left this here for you.
Thank you very much.
And if you come back to our city,
I will. All right, thank you. Thank you, Mayor, for that kind introduction. Tonight I have a little bit of pressure on me in that not only am I in my hometown, but the St. John clan is over there in a couple of tables, plus Steve Bergen and a few other relatives and friends from my days here in Waterbury. My 3 brothers are there, and I think they're more here to see whether or not brother number 2 is going to mess up tonight than anything else. It's such a pleasure to be back in Waterbury. I first left the Naugatuck River Valley when I was 17 to go off to West Point, and I've spent the last 25 years living in South Georgia. So if I slip a few y'alls into the talk tonight, it's not because I've given up on my Yankee heritage. It's just that's how we speak down there. This is a special night. We're gathered here to honor these veterans as well we should. They have earned our appreciation and our respect. They are the focus of our attention. They are the stars. But by our attendance, we also serve a higher purpose. We are, in effect, making a down payment on how willing our youth will be in the future to serve their nation when their time comes. There is a famous quote that explains this linkage between one generation's treatment of veterans and the next generation's willingness to serve in the armed forces when their time comes. The quote is this: "The willingness with which our young people are likely to serve in any war, no matter how justified, shall be directly proportional to how they perceive the veterans of earlier wars were treated and appreciated by their nation." That was President George Washington. Some people live an entire lifetime and never know if they've made a difference. Never felt the pride of standing up for their country. Never looked past what is only good for them. Always thinking of their own comfort and safety. As another of our presidents said, veterans don't have that problem. These sons and daughters of Waterbury, who we salute, and the many veterans in the audience as well, do not have that problem. They have stood up for their country. They've made a contribution to the security of our nation and all of our safety. In so doing, they knew full well that it could mean being put in harm's way in some far-off corner of the world with names we cannot pronounce and we often forget. But they did it, and we are grateful. Veterans and their families have also made sacrifices, large and small, in many ways we do not even realize. Sacrifice comes in many forms, the hardest of which is probably the separations, the days, weeks, months, and even years of separation from family, missing all those golden moments in our lives, graduations and anniversaries and birthdays and everything else that had color to our lives. While we celebrate these special veterans that we have here tonight, we cannot forget that Monday is also Memorial Day, when we remember and venerate those men and women who did not come home, those who fell on battlefields across the globe, in wars not of their making, and under the direst of circumstances, certainly not of their choosing. But nevertheless, they answered the call and fulfilled their duty. I've always thought that it's also a day to remember the families of those lost in battle and a heartache and sense of loss that they feel even years and decades later. So it's only fitting that we stop and remember. Now, as a Vietnam veteran, I stop on Memorial Day and remember those who fell on battlefields all across South Vietnam. On that sacred day, the number 30 is very special to me. There were 30 sons of Waterbury, Connecticut, killed in the Vietnam War, 11 in 1968 alone. 30 is the number of my West Point classmates killed in Vietnam. And 30 is the number of soldiers from my company lost. Now, the theme of tonight's dinner is no surprise to me. Our country has a history of support of our veterans, and Waterbury in particular has been in the forefront in honoring its veterans and remembering those who have fallen. The Waterbury Veterans Memorial Committee is a Connecticut treasure. There's just no other way to describe it. Now, public support for veterans and a desire to provide them, yeah, go ahead and applaud. They're amazing. I'll deviate from my speech here for a moment and say I now reside in a part of our country that prides themselves on honoring veterans, but this takes the cake. Public support for veterans and desire to provide them the benefits they need has long been a central tenet of American values. It's in our DNA. It's what we do as a nation. True, during the Vietnam War, there was a problem in that some citizens could not differentiate between an unpopular war and the soldiers who fought in it. It was a circumstances that any previous returning group of veterans had not faced. It was one that we could neither comprehend nor understand. But I am happy to report those times are in the past. They are long gone. We have been welcomed home. We have been accorded the respect and appreciation that our fathers enjoyed and that we now show to the Iraq and Afghanistan veterans. We are back in the fold. For the vast majority of veterans, Vietnam veterans included, we have assimilated back into civilian life. One of my friends from Vietnam attending several of our reunions of our company in Vietnam described us this way, and I think it probably applies to all veterans. He said, as a whole, we are honest, honorable, polite, modest, courteous, self-starters, law-abiding, hardworking, and patriotic. Now, veterans are a large and diverse segment of the population. There are literally millions of us. So it's impossible to pick one label for all of us or a generic description that suits us all. But having been a veteran myself for 50 years now, I've noticed certain attributes that for the most part, veterans have in common. Attributes that set us apart in a very positive way from the mainstream of society. Veterans seem to have a heightened sense of awareness when fellow veterans need assistance, and somehow a loose network of veterans and friends always find someone to help the other veteran out. Veterans also don't let obstacles, physical, emotional, stand in their way. In my circle of friends from Vietnam, I know of dozens of examples of one veteran very quietly, without any fanfare, helping another veteran, and without any expectation of reward. They followed a very simple motto, unspoken, that we have, is each one, reach one. Take, for example, a guy named Dave Spencer. We called him Sparrow. Sparrow was short in stature but had a big heart. When he graduated from airborne school in 1967, his entire class, graduating class in airborne school, was assigned to the 101st Airborne Division, which has a screaming eagle as its shoulder patch. One of his friends said, "You're too small to be an eagle, you're more like a sparrow," so the name stuck and we've called him Sparrow ever since. Now, after Vietnam, Sparrow became a builder of homes in Colorado and his home state of California, and he was somewhat of an adventurer. One time he went to Afghanistan in 1980, in the height of the Russian invasion, just so he could talk with some Russian paratroopers and compare notes. He also liked anything that went fast, especially motorboats and being pulled behind it on skis. Now, Sparrow also was instrumental in raising awareness and funds for a Vietnam memorial in Sacramento, the state capital. for those Vietnam veterans from California who were killed in action. Now, I left out one important point about Sparrow, because all of what I said was true, but he did it from a wheelchair. Sparrow's spine was severed by a bullet in 1968, but he did not let that stand in the way. The way he raised awareness and money for that Vietnam memorial in Sacramento was to wheelchair from his home to the state capitol steps. Now, he lived in Palm Springs, California. And if you know your geography, that's 450 miles. Imagine, if you would, going outside your door in Waterbury, Connecticut, climbing in a wheelchair, and then stopping when you finally reach Richmond, Virginia. And you have some idea of the kind of man he was. Veterans can also act as a unifying force in America. You know, our country is a divided one. There's no doubt about it. We're splintered into many groups, economic, ethnic, political. It seems that the gap between us is growing, and we agree on nothing, absolutely nothing. Blind devotion to ideologies or political parties on both ends of the spectrum is in vogue. It seems that pulling together for a common cause and believing that there are some things and ideas and principles bigger than ourselves is lost. But tonight's dinner proves otherwise. The honor and respect that we collectively bestow upon these veterans is a shining example that we too can agree on something bigger than ourselves, that we can join in a common purpose, stronger than our allegiance to a political party, and more powerful than where we stand on immigration or gun control or any of the issues facing our country. We share in a deep appreciation for the sacrifice and dedication of these veterans. Tonight, on this spot, at this time, we all can truthfully say that despite everything else that is swirling around in our nation's consciousness, we are united. We all can agree that these veterans deserve all our respect and admiration. Now, through shared experiences, veterans also build a bond with their comrades that endures for a lifetime. The common denominators of jointly experiencing tough training, extreme conditions, deployments around the world, separation from family, and the dangers of combat turns friends into buddies with a bond so strong that it transcends years. This bond among veterans creates a unique community where class differences are erased. Income disparities become irrelevant. Racial differences have no meaning. And self-interest is no longer a driving force behind one's actions. Take, for example, an individual I know from Vietnam by the name of Mike Scott. Now, Mike was different than literally everyone else in the company in many ways. Only one thing: he had a bond with the other soldiers. Now, the company in Vietnam that I was in had trained together at Fort Campbell, Kentucky in the summer and fall of 1968. He had gone through intensive in-country training together, had been bloodied together, so we were a very close-knit group. 95% of us were volunteers. In those days, if you volunteered for the Army, you automatically were volunteering for the war zone. We were volunteers as well to be airborne. You had to volunteer to go to airborne school. Mike was not part of that core group. He came to us as a replacement. When he came to us, the casualties had started mounting So we began to receive replacements like Mike. He was an outsider. He was a complete stranger. Mike was a draftee. Being in the Army was the last place he wanted to be. And being in Vietnam certainly was not in his life plan. Mike also wanted no part of being airborne. He did not volunteer for airborne school. In fact, he thought jumping out of a perfectly good airplane, going at 140 miles an hour, was stupid. There were big, strapping young men in the company, many of which could have been on a recruiting poster. Mike was 5 feet 3 inches tall and wore thick glasses. He was not going to be on any recruiting poster for the Army. Now, the company roster was a slice of Americana. We came from small towns with names only the soldiers had heard of. Binger, Oklahoma, Red Lion, Pennsylvania, Ewa Beach, Hawaii, Corder, Missouri, and they came from tough neighborhoods in iconic cities from Detroit, Chicago, Los Angeles, Philadelphia. There was even a skinny Irish kid from the Bunker Hill section of Waterbury. Not so for Mike. You see, Michael Scott was actually not his birth name. It was a name given to him when he was adopted. Mike was Japanese. Mike was born in Japan and raised there while the Pacific War raged all across the Pacific. When the occupation forces came in, his mother married an American sergeant, and when that sergeant retired, they moved back to South Georgia, Mike in tow. Now imagine being Japanese after World War II in South Georgia. Mike learned to fight at an early age. Most of us were sons and nephews of World War II veterans, and all of us had a connection with the greatest generation. One soldier's father came ashore at Normandy. My own dad served in the Pacific in a China-Burma India theater, and I had uncles spread out all across the Army and Navy. Now here's where Mike differed from all of us in a most surprising way. In this respect, he was polar opposite of all of us. See, Mike's father was also a World War II veteran, but he was a Japanese fighter pilot, killed in action in the Pacific. So here we had Mike Scott, totally different than anyone in the company, yet he had one thing going for him. He had the bond that seems to grow between veterans when they're in extreme conditions. In August of 1968, that was put to the test when Mike's platoon was hit hard. Some of his friends were killed, others were wounded, and lay exposed to enemy fire. Mike moved straight out into the open area, and then on his own, he knocked out all of the enemy bunkers where the machine guns were. No one told him to do it. No one asked him to do it. That bond compelled him to do it. By the way, Mike was awarded the Silver Star for his heroism. I'm happy to announce that he survived the war. He moved back to South Georgia, and if he were here tonight, he'd tell you that he has put the war behind him, and he has 3 loves in this world: motorcycles, deep sea. He moved back to South Georgia, and if it were here tonight, he'd tell you that he has put the war behind him, and he has 3 loves in this world: motorcycles, deep sea fishing, and his 2 grandchildren. And no one tell his wife that she did not make the top 3, please. Now, veterans also present all of us with an opportunity to show our appreciation. Certainly, not all of us can have the dedication and drive of this committee to put on events such as this. There's no way I know that I could do it. But there is a way for each of us to show our appreciation in a very individual, personal way for each one of us to reach a veteran. Here's an example. A couple of years ago, I served as a guardian on honor flights. Those probably were in this area as well. Those were charter flights where we would take World War II veterans from their hometown to Washington, D.C. and have a day of going through memorials, World War II memorial. On my first flight, I was the guardian of a wonderful veteran, but he was in a wheelchair. I met my veteran, and that day we left Columbus, Georgia, where I currently live, and it was a wonderful send-off with bands. We had ROTC cadets saluting. When we boarded the aircraft, we had the captain of the aircraft and his crew applauding and welcoming the veterans. When we arrived in Baltimore, we went through an arch of water cannons on their way to the terminal. There was a general there to greet us, more soldiers saluting, and then a wonderful day of the World War II memorial, ending up at the changing of the guard at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. We then went back to Columbus, Georgia, where we had more bands. It was really an incredible day, filled with incredible events. Any one of them would be a lifetime memory. So before we parted, I asked my veteran, what touched you the most? What do you remember the most of all of this day? And he mentioned something that was not on the official itinerary. It lasted only several seconds and was seen and heard only by that veteran and myself. He said this. He said, it was the scrape between the taps. Now let me explain. At the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, if you've ever been there, the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier have icons of military perfection. Those sentinels pace back and forth, 21 paces one way and 21 paces another way. When they get to the end of their 21 paces, they do a ritual presentation of arms for 21 seconds and then 21 paces back. They never, ever openly deviate from that measured steps. They never, ever would openly recognize anyone. Head of state, World War II veteran, it made no difference. But they have a way of recognizing and saluting someone who they hold dear. They have taps on their shoes and heels so that when they step the 21 steps, you actually hear 21 taps for every step. 21 taps one way and 21 taps another way. If they want to recognize someone, they will very slightly scrape the pavement between one of those taps as they come abreast of the individual they want to salute. So we're in an area for wheelchairs. We were no more than 2 or 3 feet from this sentinel. He walked by us, 21 steps, 21 taps, nothing, no sound. He turned, walked back, and between the 7th and 8th tap, there was a scrape. No one heard it. There was a gallery of at least 300 people. The only people who heard it was myself and this veteran. That's all it took. One small gesture by a sentinel meant everything to that veteran. Now, what am I asking of you tonight? Go out and join the Army and go to the old guard and become a sentinel? No, not at all. Absolutely not. I couldn't even do it, even in my heyday. But what I'm asking is this. All that sentinel did was, within his abilities, at a time and place that he could do it, a very small gesture that was so profound and meant so much to that veteran. So that's what I'm asking. Tonight, tomorrow, the next day, next month, next year, in any way you can, find a veteran and in a very small way, in your own way, figuratively, put a scrape between the 7th and 8th tap. Make that veteran, he or she, feel that they are appreciated. So once again, I want to thank the committee for inviting me tonight. This is a wonderful honor. This is a great tribute to our veterans. To the veterans that we honor tonight, I salute you. You have my respect. God bless you and your families. God bless the United States of America.
Thank you. Colonel Rick St. John, everybody. Colonel Rick St. John, the city of Waterbury thanks you from the bottom of our hearts. You have served our city, our state, and our nation well. Thank you. We're going to take a short break, enjoy your dinner, and we'll be right back with the program. And we're going to call on our first World War II veteran, Leon Boucher. Leon Boucher was born October 14th, 1925, in Waterbury, Connecticut. His parents were immigrants from Canada. When Leon turned 18 years of age, he joined the United States Army. He was taught how to drive and served with a military police unit and was sent to France. Jack? You going to bring him up?
Yes.
Okay.
Where is he?
He served with a military police unit and he went to France. Leon traveled throughout France in boxcars and often slept in tents on the ground in the snow. His unit moved from village to village, often under German attack. Leon was hit by shrapnel during one attack and was aided by 2 medics who treated him by flashlight. His unit left that area in trucks after coming under an attack, and again, later, he learned that the 2 medics were both killed. He returned to the United States. Following his discharge, he enlisted in the National Guard and was called back to active duty during the Korean War. He served in the European Theater of Operations again, was stationed in Dijon, France. When the Korean War ended, he returned stateside via New York and recalls people cheering upon their arrival in New York City. Leon re-enlisted again for 1 more year. Returning to Waterbury, he was employed at Summit Finishing, and in 1977, at age 52, Leon married Mary, who had 4 daughters. Leon Boucher has lived his life caring for family and living by the rules. He proudly served his country. His awards are Expert Carbine, Good Conduct Medal, European, African, Middle East Theater of Operations Medal with 3 battle stars representing Ardennes, Rhineland, and Central Europe. The Presidential Unit Citation, 4 overseas bars, and the World War II Victory Medal. Leon Boucher, thank you for your service to our city, our state, and our nation.
Well, I want to thank everybody for this little get-together. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Leon.
We love it. We love it. Very sweet. Love it. It's okay. I'm not eager.
Our next World War II veteran that we're honoring tonight is Richard Carpino. Richard was born in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, and graduated from Pittsfield High School. His military service began when he was inducted into the United States Army on January 22nd, 1944. After basic training, he was further trained as a medical aidman and was assigned to the 363rd Medical Battalion attached to the 63rd Infantry Division, Blood and Fire. He served in France and Germany. The 63rd Infantry Division arrived in France December 1944. From mid-February 1945 until the end of the war, the 63rd Infantry Division made a path through the Wehrmacht, cutting through the Wehrmacht like a knife through butter. He served as part of the Army of Occupation in Germany after the war and left the European theater on April 27, 1946. He was discharged May 12, 1946, with the rank of Tech 5. He then enrolled in college, received a degree from the University of Massachusetts in public health. Richard married Santina Zofria in 1950, and they were together until her passing in 2007. They have 8 children, 18 grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren. His awards are the Medical Badge, Good Conduct Medal, European, African, Middle East Theater of Operations, with 2 battle stars for Rhineland and Central Europe, the Army of Occupation Medal with Germany Bar, 3 overseas bars, the World War II Victory Medal, and the State of Connecticut Wartime Service Medal. Richard Carpino, thank you for your service to our city, our state, and our nation. Hold on, Jack has something for you. Okay? Thank you, Richard, for your service. Our next World War II veteran is Joseph Silphone. Joseph Silphone, yes. Joseph Silphone was born to Anthony and Teresa Silphone in Waterbury on September 26, 1925. Joseph was drafted into the United States Army on March 13, 1944, and was assigned to the 78th Infantry Division, the Lightning Division, 311th Infantry Regiment. The 78th Division completed its training and embarked for Europe in October 1944. Within 2 months, they had assaulted and breached the formidable Siegfried Line in Germany. Richard was awarded the Bronze Star for meritorious service for distinguishing himself against the enemy in various operations from December 26, 1944 to April 18, 1945. He was discharged April 1, 1946, met his wife Gloria, and they were married April 19, 1947. His awards are the Marksman Rifle Badge, the Combat Infantry Badge, 3 overseas bars, European, African, Middle East Theater of Operations Medal with 3 battle stars, Rhineland, Ardennes, Central Europe, and he has the Good Conduct Medal, the Bronze Star, the World War II Victory Medal, and the Connecticut Wartime Service Medal. Joseph Silphone, thank you for your service to our city, our state, and our nation.
Thank you, everybody. God bless you all.
Yeah, yes, Dan, thanks you all. It's hard for them to see or hear us, but we're here with you. And on behalf of our family, my late brother Vincent, and all of us here, God bless you, Uncle Joe Colella, and all that served, so that we could be here. And God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next World War II veteran that we're honoring tonight, John L. Rossi. John L. Rossi was born in Waterbury on February 15, 1921, and grew up in Town Plot and made lifelong friends in Our Lady of Mount Carmel Parish. John entered the United States Army on October 19, 1942, and was assigned to the 8th Infantry Regiment headquarters. The 8th Infantry Regiment was deployed to the European theater. John returned home in December 1945, having served as temporary regimental sergeant major. In 1946, he enrolled at Mount St. Mary's College, graduating in 1950. On August 10, 1946, He married Josephine D'Angelo, and they have eight children. Thank you, Tim Upson. Thank you. That's okay. They lived in Hopeville and attended St. Francis Xavier Parish, where he served as Eucharistic minister and lector, where his life has been enriched by his association with the Reverend Paul Pace, his fellow parishioners and neighbors. His awards are the Marksman Rifle Badge, 5 overseas bars, the American Theater Campaign Medal, the European African Middle East Theater Campaign Medal with 3 battle stars, Rhineland, Ardennes, Central Europe, the U.S. Army Good Conduct Medal, the World War II Victory Medal, and the Connecticut Wartime Service Medal. John L. Rossi, thank you for your service to our city, our state, and our nation.
It's a night of thank yous. You can never say enough. I want to thank the special members of the Waterbury.
That's it.
The Waterbury Memorial Committee. And I want to, on behalf of the 4 of us who are the so-called greater generation, you folks who came after us, not only those who are in conflicts, but the whole generation, the number of generations of fathers, have much greatness in them that is going to be recorded in history. And so in my notes, you may have seen, I said we're really not the greatest generation. Every generation has greatness in it. So keep that in mind in the doomsday people are trying to take over.
Thank you, John Rossi. Now I'm going to call on Jack Shea to honor our Korean War veterans and our Cold War veterans. Jack, it's all yours.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Bob. Our first honoree is Joseph J. Yankus, Sr. Joseph was born December 10, 1933 in Mahoney City, Pennsylvania, a small mining town 2 hours north of Philadelphia. He attended local schools and excelled in football, baseball, and other sports. Joe was also chosen to be class president his junior and senior class in high school. He joined the Navy in August 1951 and was honorably discharged in October 1954 at the rate of third-class petty officer, gunner's mate. Upon his discharge, he married his sweetheart, Sylvia Ann Halsenthaler, and they have 4 children, Joanne, Susan, Angela, and Joseph Jr., 7. He coached Pop Warner football, the Waterbury Knights, for over 21 years as their assistant coach, football director, and for 7 years was a trainer. Upon retiring, they named a scholarship award after him. Joe also coached high school football for 2 years at Crosby High, 4 years at Kennedy High, and 4 years at the #1 high school in the county, Bishop Gorman High School in Las Vegas. From 2010 to 2013, Joe was Connecticut Football Scout of King's College, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, a Division III college, and they had 10 recruits from Connecticut. Joe retired at age 80 from coaching football for 4 years ago. His awards include the National Defense Service Medal, the U.S. Navy Occupation Medal, United Nations Korea Medal, the Republic of Korea Service Medal, Korean Ambassador for Peace Medal, and the State of Connecticut Wartime Service Medal. Joseph J. Yankus, Sr., we thank you for your service to your city, your state, and your nation.
I'd like to thank the committee for bestowing this honor upon me at this late stage in my life. I greatly appreciate it. And thank you, all you Vietnam veterans. I just got to say one thing. Welcome home.
Thank you, Joseph.
Our next honoree is Thomas William Canavero. Tom was born in New Haven on May 19, 1933. Graduated from local schools and attended Hill House High School. He enlisted in the United States Navy at the age of 18 in August of 1951. He did his basic training in Newport, Rhode Island, and was assigned to the USS Abbott. She spent the first 3 months of 1952 preparing for her first deployment to the Mediterranean Sea with the U.S. Sixth Fleet. Abbott spent the next 19 months operating out of Newport, engaged in training evolutions, submarine warfare exercises, independent ships exercises, and refresher training. Upon his discharge from the U.S. Navy, he was introduced by a Waterbury Navy friend to Carol Dosteller, who would become his wife in 1955. Carol was head of the nurses at St. Mary's Hospital Cancer Unit, where she worked until she retired. Carol contracted a form of Parkinson's disease and passed away in 2005. They were married for over 59 years. Tom has been a member of the Disabled American Veterans DAV and has served as commander of Chapter 11. Tom now serves as adjutant. Under his leadership, Chapter 11 has been very active working in the community. They organize a picnic every year at the VA hospital in West Haven. They are present at various patriotic events and parades, and they make donations to area agencies in need. His awards are the National Defense Service Medal, Connecticut Wartime Service Medal. Thomas William Canavero, we thank you for your service to your city, your state, and your nation.
That's it. I got my legs here with me. I want to honor the Waterbury Veterans Committee. Without these guys, they are our mentors. They help us a lot. I'm a disabled veteran. My reason, I wish I could speak as well as the other gentleman did about what they did in the service. I'm what's known as a local pain in the butt. Everybody knows it. That's how I'm called. I didn't go on the ground in Korea. I was in France. And in France, I did what an 18-year-old did. I chased French women around. But other than that, thank you all for coming here. And just the fact that you're here and you recognize us as veterans, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thomas Canavero.
Our next honoree is Melvin Pierce. You knew that was coming. Melvin was born July 29th, 1955. What's this problem? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're not as close as you should be.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Okay.
that's better.
Melvin was born July 29th, 1955, and raised in Waterbury, and is a graduate of Wilby High School. Sergeant Melvin Pierce joined the United States Air Force in November of 1979 and completed his basic training at Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas. From there, he was stationed at Keesler Air Force Base in Biloxi, Mississippi, where he completed his training as an AIR traffic controller. Upon completion of his training in MS, July 1980, Sergeant Pierce was stationed at Ramstein Air Force Base in Germany, where he was responsible for assuring the safety of military and civilian aircrafts in their arrival, departure, and en route flights. After Sergeant Pierce's tour of duty in Germany, he was stationed in Homestead Air Force Base, Florida, where he completed his active military service in August of 1983. His Air Force Reserve obligation was completed in October of 1985. After moving back to Waterbury, Melvin worked at General Data Communications, and in 1988 became a Waterbury firefighter. Yay. Currently, he's a fire inspector assigned to the Office of the Fire Marshal. Melvin is active in the community as he works with the elderly and youth, giving classes and promoting fire safety. Melvin's awards include the Air Force Good Conduct Medal, the Air Force Overseas Long Tour Ribbon, and the Air Force Training Ribbon. Melvin Pierce, City of Waterbury thanks you for your service to the city, state, and nation.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Veterans Memorial Committee for having us and for all the great work you do with veterans. It's never ending. One of the greatest honors in my life was joining the military, just to be a part of something bigger than me, serving this country, and that was one of the biggest honors of my life. So with that, I say thank you again, and God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next honoree is Gracie Melody Parker. Gracie was born December 10, 1964 in Waterbury, Connecticut. Gracie is a veteran of the United States Marine Corps, where she served from May 21st, 1990 to May 20th of 1994, earning the rank of corporal. She completed 11 weeks of basic training at Parris Island in Beaufort, South Carolina, where she achieved a score of 300 on the personal fitness and training test, the highest score you could earn. Gracie then transitioned to Camp Johnson in Jacksonville, North Carolina, where she received 10 weeks of training for her primary specialty, administrative clerk. Shortly after arriving to her first duty station in Okinawa, Japan, where she was stationed for 1 year, President Bush declared war in the Persian Gulf. Gracie completed her tour of headquarters and services battalion in Quantico, Virginia, where she worked in the Family Advocacy and Support Center and the Command Substance Abuse Counseling Center. Before discharging from the Marine Corps, Gracie ran the Marine Corps Marathon, 26.2 miles in Washington, D.C. It should be noted that while in the Marine Corps, Gracie pursued higher education by attending college throughout her military career. In 1995, Gracie received a bachelor's degree in business administration from Everett College in Danville, Virginia, and in 2002, a master's of science degree in criminal justice from the University of New Haven in New Haven, Connecticut. In October 2009, Governor Jody Rell awarded Gracie with the Connecticut Wartime Service Medal. Currently, Gracie has been a juvenile probation officer for the state of Connecticut for over 13 years. Her awards include the National Defense Service Medal, Navy Achievement Medal, the Navy Good Conduct Medal, Sea Service Deployment Ribbon, Navy Unit Commendation, Certificate of Commendation, Meritorious Mass, and Letter of Appreciation. Gracie Melody Parker, we appreciate your service to your city, your state, and your nation.
Thank you all. I want to thank the Waterbury Memorial Veterans Committee for this prestigious award. I am honored and humbled. Becoming a Marine was definitely by far one of my greatest accomplishments. I stand on the shoulders of courageous men and women who are watching over us while we sleep at night, and just to wear the uniform, I don't know if anyone who outside of not having a uniform can really understand why we sleep comfortable at night. Is because these men and women who are sacrificing their lives for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Bob will now continue with the Vietnam veterans.
Thank you, Jack. When Pearl Harbor was attacked in December 1941, America was caught unaware. As a result, the Pearl Harbor Survivors Association created a motto called "Eternal Vigilance is the Price of Liberty." And as I heard Gracie Parker speaking, that's what I think she was talking about. Eternal vigilance is the price of liberty, the motto of the Pearl Harbor Survivors Association. Thank you. Right now, thanks, Dan. Right now I'm going to begin honoring our Vietnam veterans, and I'm going to call Ralph Barberi forward, front and center. Ralph Barberi, front and center. Ralph Barberi was born in Waterbury, Connecticut, September 20th, 1945. He was educated in local schools and graduated from Croft High School in 1963. He did his basic and advanced training after he was inducted in the United States Army on August 17th, 1966. He did his basic training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. He arrived in Vietnam January 6th, 1967 at Camp Alpha Replacement Center, and was assigned to the 19th Light Infantry Brigade, B Company, 4th Battalion, 31st Infantry, 2nd Platoon, 1st Squad in Tay Ninh Province. After 6 months, the 196th moved to the Chu Lai area to replace a Marine battalion. On Thanksgiving Day, 1967, his unit engaged a North Vietnamese Regular Army Regiment in a VC village. He was wounded, and after a short hospital stay, he returned to his duty. His tour ended and he returned home on 12/31/1967. He was then assigned to Troop C, 1st Squadron, 6th Armored Cav Regiment at Fort George Meade, Maryland. On 4/4/1968, martial law was enacted and the 6th Cavalry and other military units were deployed to Washington, D.C. to maintain order after Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated and riots erupted. Ralph was honorably discharged on 8/16/1968, returned to Waterbury, and he had a great career as a tool and die apprentice, and he has continued to volunteer for many organizations in the area, including Waterbury Hospital. His Combat Infantry Badge, Sharpshooter Badge M14, 2 Overseas Bars, National Defense Service Medal, Purple Heart, Vietnam Service Medal with 1 Battle Star, Republic of Vietnam Campaign Medal with device. Ralph A. Barberi, thank you for your service to our city, our state, and our nation.
I'd like to thank the Waterbury Veterans Memorial Committee. I'd like to, for the recognition. I'd like to thank Mike Minervino for nominating me, my family for all their support, especially my lovely wife of 49 years. She's always been beside me. Thank you. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Ralph. Our next Vietnam veteran is Richard Brunelli. Richard Brunelli, front and center, please. Richard Brunelli was born in Waterbury, Connecticut on December 15, 1946. He was educated at Tinker Grammar and Croft High School. Prior to entering the Army, he worked at various construction jobs. He entered the United States Army October 26, 1965. After his basic training, he was assigned to a light weapons infantry unit. That unit was also assigned to the 1st Signal Brigade, which was activated on 1st April 1966 in the Republic of Vietnam. The brigade's mission in Vietnam was to originate, install, operate, and maintain a complex communication system that fused tactical and strategic communications in Southeast Asia under a single unified command. Richard was discharged August 17, 1967, and returned to Waterbury. He was married in 1970 to Maureen McArdle, and they were married 41 years. They raised 2 sons, Richard and David. Richard is a life member of the American Legion and is a member of VFW Post 8075, where he served as judge advocate. He is also a member of the DAV. He enjoys fishing, hunting, and golf in his spare time. His awards: 2 Overseas Bars, National Defense Service Medal, Vietnam Campaign Medal, Vietnam Service Medal with device, Connecticut Wartime Service Medal. Richard Brunelli, thank you for your service to our city, our state, and our nation.
I'd like to thank the Veterans Committee for a wonderful job they've done, and I hope they keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Our next Vietnam veteran that we're honoring tonight is Patrick J. Fries. Patrick was born in Waterbury, May 29, 1947. He attended Bucks Hill Grammar School. Did I say front and center? I think I meant to say front. Richard. He enlisted in the United States Marine Corps in August 1965 and went to Parris Island for boot camp and training. He then went to welding school at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, and then to a staging battalion at Camp Pendleton, California. He boarded the USS Weagle troop transport, where he headed to Okinawa for 13 months. He then, in June 1967, he went to Vietnam and served at FLSC Bravo Dong Ha. Dong Ha Combat Base was a U.S. Marine Corps and U.S. Army base just northwest of Quang Tri in central Vietnam. He was promoted to sergeant in April 1968 and left Vietnam in May '69. After his discharge, he had a career as an iron worker. Patrick retired in 2010. His awards: the National Defense Service Medal, the Vietnam Service Medal with 2 battle stars, the Republic of Vietnam Campaign Medal with device, the Good Conduct Medal, the Combat Action Ribbon, Rifle Sharpshooter Badge, and the Connecticut Wartime Service Medal. Patrick Fries, thank you for your service to our city, our state, and our nation.
I want to thank all my family and friends for coming here, the committee for honoring me tonight. Very impressive. And I want to say Semper Fi to all the Waterbury citizens. That's it.
Thank you, Patrick. Our next Vietnam veteran, Kristaps Juris Kegi, front and center. Oh. Kristaps Juris Kegi was born August 9th, 1934 in Riga, Latvia, and as a child survived World War II. In 1949, as communism and the Russians were starting to spread throughout the world, he was lucky enough to get to America. Arriving on a refugee ship, he passed by the Statue of Liberty and landed on the docks of Manhattan. 8 years later, he volunteered for military service in the United States Army, and within another 8 years was on his way to the war in Vietnam. He was educated in Latvia, then the French high school, Freiburg, Germany. After he emigrated to the United States, he attended the Brunswick School in Greenwich, Connecticut. He was then admitted to and graduated from Yale University in 1955 and from Yale University School of Medicine in 1959. He joined the United States Army Medical Service and Medical Corps in 1957 and served until 1969. He was the orthopedic surgery chief, 3rd Surgical Hospital, Mobile Army in Vietnam from September 1965 to June 1966. He served 12 years as an Army Reserve officer with 2 years of active service, with his last year of service in Vietnam. His unit, the 3rd Surgical Hospital Army Mobile, MASH, was the first of its kind to arrive in Vietnam. Initially attached to the 173rd Airborne Brigade, the first regular Army unit to arrive in Vietnam in the summer of 1965. Its commanding officer, Brigadier General Williamson, had requested them and ordered him as his orthopedic surgeon. But a little later, he had to share him with the 1st and 25th Infantry Division in War Zone D and the 1st Air Cavalry during 2 months in the Central Highlands. The 3rd MASH unit was originally set up at Bien Hoa, Vietnam, and then later, in support of Operation Garfield, set up at Ban Mi Thuot, the capital city of Dat Lak Province in the Central Highlands of Vietnam. The 3rd MASH returned to Bien Hoa on April 9, 1966. He left the Army on June 28, 1966 with the rank of captain. He is a VFW Life member. His awards are the Overseas Service Bar, the National Defense Service Medal, the Vietnam Veteran Service Medal, the Vietnam Campaign Medal with device, and the Connecticut Wartime Service Medal. Kristaps Kegi, thank you for your service to our city, our state, and our nation.
Thank you very much for having me here. Thank you very much, Charlie, for getting us set up. There's very little I can say, and I feel frequently choked up on occasions like this because it's really, it's not me. I think about it. It's all the people I took care of in Vietnam. It's and I'll end it at that. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, Dr. Kegi. Our next Vietnam veteran that we're honoring tonight, Eldred Butch Matthew, front and center. Butch Matthew embarked on his military career after graduating from Croft High School in Waterbury, Connecticut. He was only 17 years of age, and with his parents' permission, he entered the United States Navy in November 1965. He went to basic training and became a corpsman, and then the corpsman school at Great Lakes, Illinois. After 6 months, he got his first choice of assignments, and he was sent to the sub-base at Groton, Connecticut. After 5 months, he was transferred by the Marine Corps and endured another boot camp at Camp Lejeune. Fortunately, being a runner, he survived the Marines' narcissistic behavior. Butch arrived in Vietnam in January 1967 and was assigned to the 3rd Battalion, 3rd Regiment, 3rd Marine Division, and his base camp was called the Rock Pile. It was 25 kilometers from Khe Sanh in the northernmost provinces. He left just before the January 1968 Tet Offensive and was reassigned to the Navy, was discharged from the Navy at Quonset Point, Rhode Island. 1 year later, he joined the U.S. Army and then graduated as a registered nurse. His awards: Overseas Service Bar, 2, Bronze Star with Oak Leaf Cluster, Purple Heart with Oak Leaf Cluster, Army Commendation Medal with Oak Leaf Cluster, the Presidential Unit Citation, Navy, the Good Conduct Medal, Army, the Good Conduct Medal, Navy, the National Defense Service Medal, the Vietnam Service Medal with 1 Battle Star, the Vietnam Campaign Medal, the Army Service Ribbon, the Overseas Service Ribbon, and the Meritorious Service Medal. Eldred Butch Matthew, thank you for your service to our city, our state, and our nation.
Yes. I endured 3 boot camps as an officer in the Army, which is a lot easier than the Navy and a hell of a lot easier with the Marine Corps. I'm one of the few that did 3 branches. I was enticed by the Air Force when I was a captain, and I said, no, I can't afford another uniform, especially as an officer. And I enjoyed the military career. I did almost 23 years, and it was an honor to serve our country like many of the veterans we have here today. I'd like to thank my wife, Teresa, because we forget about our spouses. And they are, since I did a career in the military, and that's 4, 6 years, 2 years, we forget our spouses that endure the pain during the military, especially like today, the last 10, 15 years, Iraq, Afghanistan. We think about the soldier, but what he leaves behind is wife and the family. You cannot forget them. You've got to support them. And Terry, I think, endured by painted a derriere for 45 years.
45 years.
So, thank you for the committee.
Thank you.
And it's an honor to be awarded this honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Butch. Well done. Our final Vietnam veteran is John H. Tobin. Sadly, John could not be here tonight with us because he is presently splits his time between Florida and Southbury, Connecticut. His neighborhood in Southbury was damaged severely by the recent tornado. John Tobin will be arriving in Connecticut tomorrow, but tonight we honor him for his service in Vietnam. He was born in Waterbury, Connecticut. I know. He was born in Waterbury, Connecticut, October 30th, 1945, the third of 7 children. He was born in Highland Avenue. He attended from St. Mary's School, Croft High School, and graduated from the University of Connecticut with Bachelor of Arts degree. He enlisted in the United States Army 1968. Following training as a Field Communications Service officer at Fort Gordon, Georgia, he served with the 78th Signal Battalion at Fort Lewis, Washington, Allied Land Forces, Southeastern Europe, a NATO assignment, and then the 1st Signal Brigade in Vietnam, where he worked at the Arvin Signal Corps headquarters in Saigon. At the time of release from his active duty, he held the rank of captain. After an administrative residency at Griffin Hospital in Derby, John returned to Waterbury Hospital in July 1975, where he served on the management team for the next 35 years, becoming CEO in 1983. Relatively late in his career, John developed an interest in the application of concepts from the complexity sciences to management practice. He earned a Doctor of Management degree from the University of Hertfordshire in the United Kingdom in 2003. John retired from Waterbury Hospital at the end of 2010 and currently resides in Naples, Florida. His military awards are 1 Overseas Bar, National Defense Service Medal, Bronze Star Medal for Meritorious Service, Vietnam Armed Forces Honor Medal, First Class, Vietnam Service Medal, Republic of Vietnam Service Medal with Device. And to John Tobin we say, thank you for your service to our city, our state, and our nation. We will get his awards to him, and we look forward to his return tomorrow, sadly. So that concludes our Vietnam Veterans Awards for this evening. Turn it over to Jack Shea. Am I?
Yeah. Well, I'm doing the
Oh, where are they?
They should be right on the back of what you just had. Yeah, right here, right here.
Oh.
To them, okay?
Okay. That's only one. Oh, they're both.
Behind
Okay, all right, good. Wait, Jack Shea, this says that I'm supposed to do these awards. So Jack's supposed to know what's going on, and in fact he does. I'm the one who missed the boat on that one. America is currently involved in a global war on terrorism, and there are people that have stepped forward to ensure that we remain free. Everybody knows that the global war on terrorism began on 9/11, 2001, September 11th, 2001. Since that time, America has been involved in a worldwide effort to combat terrorism. And there are 2 men here tonight that have served with distinction in that effort. Our first recipient tonight is Sergeant First Class Matthew Docchio. Sergeant Docchio, front and center. These are the people that are keeping us free. Sergeant First Class Matthew Docchio joined the Army in June 2002 and attended infantry basic training at Fort Benning, Georgia. Following basic training, Sergeant First Class Docchio attended airborne school. After completion of airborne school, he then started the grueling 18-month Special Forces qualification course, leading him to earning the Green Beret. His first assignment in Special Forces was with C Company. His first assignment in Special Forces was with C Company, 1st Battalion, 7th Special Forces Group from 2003 to 2008. During this time, he served in numerous combat deployments to Afghanistan and various countries in South America. Serving as the Special Forces Weapons Sergeant, he advised the commander on all aspects of weapons and light infantry tactics, planned and conducted direct action missions, foreign internal defense, unconventional warfare, and special recon missions in support of the combatant commanders' directives in Afghanistan. In South America, he conducted numerous joint agency counter-narcotics operations, while also conducting advanced training in English and Spanish to the host country's special forces. In 2008, he was reassigned to Colonel Nick Rowe's Special Forces SEER Unit School as an instructor on survival, evasion, resistance, and escape, when captured by enemy forces. In 2011, Sergeant First Class Docchio returned to the 7th Special Forces Group and was assigned to B Company, 4th Battalion. He served as the Operations Sergeant and Intelligence Sergeant, planning and conducting combat operations, again in Afghanistan and South America, specializing in direct action and special recon. In 2013, he was selected to serve in the 7th Special Forces Regional Support Detachment. He served as the Intelligence Specialist of a hand-selected six-man team specializing in State Department interagency cooperation in support of theater strategic plans. After spending his entire military career in the Army Special Forces Green Berets, he will be medically retired on May 26th of this year due to injuries sustained in combat. His awards are the Bronze Star, the Purple Heart, 2 Meritorious Service Medals, 4 Army Commendation Medals, the Joint Meritorious Unit Award, the Army Superior Unit Award, the Good Conduct Medal, the Afghanistan Campaign Medal with 3 battle stars, the Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, the Army Professional Development Ribbon, the Army Service Ribbon, the NATO Medal, the Army Special Forces Tab, Combat Infantry Badge, Parachutist Badge, Military Free Fall Badge, and Air Assault Badge. Sergeant First Class Matthew Docchio, thank you for your service to our city, our state, and our nation. Let's hear it for him.
Thanks, Bob. You forgot I was on the best football team to ever lead the city of Waterbury at Holy Cross.
You didn't write the bio.
That wasn't, he said he was the best, what was it, the best football
Best
team?
football team out of Holy Cross in Waterbury.
There you go.
I know Coach Relegio's here, I just want to give him a shout out. But, hey, first I want to thank the Waterbury Veterans Memorial Committee. I remember coming here when I was 8 years old. I was telling my son on the way up here that his grandfather used to take me to these dinners, and I never really understood, you know, really what they stood for, what really the people in attendance here were doing here. I really couldn't understand it, get an appreciation for that until I joined the military. It's much appreciated. You know, the sacrifices that the family members, previous honoree talked about his spouse, and the kids, and my son's 8 years old. He's probably endured and had to sacrifice more than any child should, and deserves more than I can get for that. There's a couple people I want to thank. My parents, obviously, they had endured these last 2 decades of not knowing where I was or what I was doing. And I want to thank them for always supporting me no matter whatever happened. Everyone in my family, thank you. There's a couple people I really do want to point out. There's an organization called the Project Hometown Support, and I want to call them out by name. May, Helen, Beth, Arlene, Sydney, and Josephine DeSantis, who's my Auntie Joe. For 15 years, they've been sending packages to soldiers that are downrange in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria. 15 years. I don't even know how many packages that are. You guys stand up, please. That table, you guys deserve it. Stand up.
Project Hometown Support.
It's really hard to comprehend unless you've been there, but when you're down, you know, who knows where you're at, and you get this package out of nowhere from somebody that you don't know and it's unexpected, you know, what that does for morale for troops that are on the ground, that are, you know, we get mixed messages from back home, what's going on, and it really means a lot in operations and as far as getting the mission done and trying to get everybody home alive. So I really appreciate that, and I hope you keep that up. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sergeant First Class Matthew Docchio. These are the people that are. Our next Global War on Terrorism honoree is Robert F. Spino, Jr. Robert, front and center. Here he is. Robert B. Spino, Jr. was born April 19, 1976 in Waterbury, Connecticut. He graduated from St. John the Evangelist Elementary School in Watertown, Connecticut. He then graduated from Swift Junior High, then Watertown High School, and then Coastal Carolina University, Conway, South Carolina. Upon graduating with a bachelor's degree in physical education, he began teaching at Carolina Forest High School. The tragic events of September 11th, 2001 moved Rob to resign from teaching and join the United States Army. He joined the Army on the Delayed Entry Program on November 17th, 2001, and on February 6th, 2002, he left Myrtle Beach, South Carolina for basic training at Fort Benning, Georgia. After completing basic training, airborne school, and then Ranger Indoctrination Program, he was awarded the coveted Tan Beret and assigned to the 1st Ranger Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment at Hunter Army Airfield in Savannah, Georgia. Within 4 years, he had accumulated 5 combat deployments to Afghanistan and 1 combat deployment to Iraq. After leaving the Army on February 6, 2006, he returned to teaching in the Myrtle Beach area, where he currently teaches physical education at Forest Brook Elementary School. He was honorably discharged from the United States Army on November 17, 2009. His awards: Parachutist Badge, Combat Infantry Badge, Expert Infantry Badge, Army Service Ribbon, the Ranger Tab, Expert Marksmanship Badge, 3 Army Commendation Medals, Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal, the Global War on Terrorism Campaign Medal, the Afghanistan Campaign Medal, the Iraq Campaign Medal, the Army Achievement Medal, the Army Good Conduct Medal, and the National Defense Service Medal. Robert P. Spino Jr., thank you for your service to our city, our state, and our nation.
Everybody, thank you very much for being here tonight. Especially I'd like to thank the Waterbury Veterans Memorial Committee for extending this honor to me. The Ponte Club for the great food we had tonight and hosting this event. Thank you very much. My family and friends that are here tonight. My father was the one that nominated me. He's a Vietnam veteran himself, and he's nominated me for this award a year ago. So here we are a year later. There's a saying that goes, for those who fought for it, freedom has a flavor the protected will never know. And I believe that in most instances. But when you look around a room with so much support, and like the city of Waterbury, it's hard to believe that just the veterans understand what freedom is. I think most people, I know everybody in this room understands that as well. So thank you for the support. I was so lucky to reflect back on my time in the service and be thankful that I was a part of something larger than life. I wish every single person on this planet had an opportunity to be involved in something larger than life for themselves. I think that would be a huge character builder and an extreme learning experience for them that would only make life better. I'm gonna keep it short and end by saying I've been all over the world, and despite some of the problems that people think we have here in America, there's no doubt in my mind that we do have the best country on the planet. So God bless America, and thank you, everybody.
Robert Spino Jr. Thank you, Robert. As I said earlier, eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. And these are the people now that are protecting that liberty. And I'm going to turn it over to Jack Shea for a special award to Our Lady of Mount Carmel Parish.
At this time, I would like to ask Father Anello, if you would come forward, Father. And if you would to the left of the podium. Yeah, bring him right over there, Father, in front of the flag. Yeah, right. I would also like to ask Mike Gemelli and the other person from 101 to come forward and assist me at this time. They left all that was near and dear to them, their families, their friends, and their church. Over 600 members of this parish, men and women alike, left to fight in the war that had to be fought. They left Our Lady of Mount Carmel Parish to fight in a struggle that would free millions of people from tyranny and oppression. Most of them returned having accomplished a feat unknown in previous history. World War II lasted from September 1st, 1939 to September 2nd of 1945. 6 years and 1 day. Our United States entered the war on December 8th, 1941, after the dastardly attack on Pearl Harbor, territory of Hawaii. This was a surprise military strike by the Imperial Japanese Navy Air Services against our naval and air forces. Attack led by President Franklin D. Roosevelt to proclaim December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. Because the attack happened without a declaration of war, without explicit warning, the attack on Pearl Harbor was later judged in Tokyo trials to be a war of crime. 8 members of Our Lady of Mount Carmel Parish did not return to share in this post-prosperity of our nation. 2 of them never returned. Their bodies lay near where they fell. 2 remaining missing in action. Their bodies have never been recovered. They are listed in the order of the death. At this time, the Waterbury Veterans Memorial Committee would like to present to the Mount Carmel Parish a plaque which has the names of those 8 service members on it. At this time, I would ask Mike to unveil the plaque. We are also presenting 2 certificates from Senator Chris Murphy and from Congresswoman Elizabeth Esty also at this time. Father, if you'd like to say a few words, we'd appreciate it.
This plaque lists the 8 men from Waterbury. Waterbury's Our Lady of Mount Carmel Parish who never returned from the war. 615 men from that parish served. 8 never returned. John Cicchetti, Dominic DeRosimo, Dominic Forino, Francis Joseph Gemelli, Gerald Francesco Matteo, Daniel Mastropetro, Dominic Santoro, and Joseph T. Spizzano Jr. We're proud to present this plaque to remember those men from Our Lady of Mount Carmel who never returned, and God bless them. Father.
On behalf of the parish of Our Lady of Mount Carmel, we'd like to thank the committee for this great honor this evening. But I'd also like to thank the men and women who, on a daily basis, protect us so that we can live in the freedom that we enjoy. God bless you and thank you.
Thank you, Father.
I would ask at this time if the members of the Waterbury Veterans Memorial Committee would circulate throughout the room and pick up the slips that we handed out for the Waterbury medals. Okay.
Okay.
We'll tell them that's it, right? Okay, so let them know.
Okay. In about 15 minutes, we'll be presenting the Waterbury Service Medal. Your name will be called.
Christoph Steggy. Andy Nelson. Tony Jaffer. Rick St. John.
I gave him his.
Okay. You could take your flag if you want. We're not going to do a closing with the flag, so you could take.
Peter Troisi never filled out a paper.
Okay. Peter Teresi. Don DePiano. Ronald Fisher. Robert Giuliano. William St. John. William St. John, come up and get your Waterbury medal. Right over here on the right. Sherman Knight. James P. Risk Jr. James P. Risk Sr. Joseph Silfone. Richard Carpino. Lawrence Rothkugel. Pasquale Cicchetti. Andrew Spagnoletti. Anthony Spagnoletti. Richard Spagnoletti. Oh, go right over here, sir. Right over here, and he'll give you your medal. Francesco Russo. Michael Calagrassi. Charles McIntosh. Josephine Thomas. Correction, Jacqueline Thomas. Jacqueline Thomas. Mark Howard. Joseph Nauraskis. Joseph Yankas, Sr. Matthew Dacchio. Come up and get your Waterbury medal, Matthew. Donald Forza. Leon Boucher. Come up and get your Waterbury medal. Thomas. James Uriano. Nicholas Fama. Barbara Ciano Lamontagne. Vincent Braziz. Louis Way. Robert Jacob. If there's anyone I did not call who did not fill out a form and you still want to get your Waterbury medal, come on up and get it. Okay. Everybody please settle down for a minute. We can't leave this building without the benediction. So Reverend Samuel Shaw will please give the benediction. Thank you.
Let us bow. Dear Lord, we thank you for your presence. We thank you for watching over the veterans. We thank you for watching over the active service members. We thank you for all that you've done for us. Now may the grace and the sweet communion of the Holy Spirit rest, rule, and abide with each and every one of us, now, henceforth, and forevermore. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Pierce, how are you?
Because I went to California for the Marine Corps Ball and I was a guest speaker. And that was in 2013. And I had to incorporate the history of the squadron, which is 50 years. And I did it in 17 minutes. And you know, when people get finished talking, they get off the stage, you know, we're ready to party. They turn me around. I turn back around, I'm getting a standing ovation. I said, everybody from Vietnam came, Somalia, and all the different continents. The only people that were left seated were those on active duty. I said, we're your history. You're our legacy. We paved the road so you could walk through the door. And they all...
That's right. God bless you.
That's what we did. And in 2015, they retired the helicopter after 51 years of service. Nobody flies a helicopter for 51 years.
Wow.
Except the Marine Corps.
Wow. So John Rossi was my director at Keener because I graduated in 75.
Well, he was my English teacher.
Yeah, he was my director.
Before he became the director.
Sammy, God bless you, man. Hang in there.
You said that, I was like...
I had to say that. I had to honor.
God bless you guys. God bless you.
Because we can't put two words together and make sense.
Sam,
Q and I get a picture with you? Would you mind if Q and I got a picture with you?
Jimmy,
What
I'll
you
talk
gonna do, put
to
it
you.
in the post office? No? Hey, if it sells some books, I'll put it in.
Well, let's take it. We got
Got in my face.
Good.
Okay, thank you. Your father. Get out of here. No, my father's crazy. I know he's crazy. Thanks, Steve. Okay. Let's go this way.
This is Oh, there you go. Okay, here we go.
Here we go.
What?
Is this over with?
Yes, it's over with. We're just going to give out the Waterbury medal.
All right, thank
The
you.
program is over.
This is for Sam. Sam Beeman. I love you. You are my hero.